Welcome to AI Paper Podcasts. We cut through the jargon and the dense pages of academic papers.
To bring you the stuff you really need to know, fast.
And today, we're tackling something pretty fascinating. A question that, keeps popping up in AI circles.
Delicious.
How does AI-generated music really stack up against human composers when it comes to emotion? Especially like in videos or films.
Right, because generative AI is moving so fast in created areas, it's everywhere, sparking all these debates.
Totally. And the tech is getting incredibly sophisticated, no doubt about it. But that human touch, emotional expression, that often feels like the final hurdle.
Can an algorithm actually make you feel something meaningful?
Exactly. That's what we're diving into today. We've got this great paper, Emotional Impact of AI-Generated versus Human-Composed Music in Audiovisual Media, a biometric and self-report study.
Yeah, by Fier, Martin Pascual, and Andre Sanchez, published in PLS One.
And for everyone listening who needs the quick version, we'll start with the key takeaways right now for that rapid digest.
Okay, so the core idea. They wanted to see if AI music could match human music's emotional punch when paired with video. They used biometric sensors, physiological stuff, and also just asked people how they felt. 88 participants split into 3 groups.
3 groups? What were they comparing?
Right. One group got human-composed music, another got AI music made using detailed keyword prompts, and the third got AI music made with simpler, more numerical prompts.
Okay, and the big findings?
Well, first up, both types of AI music made people's pupils dilate more. And participants said they felt more aroused by the AI music compared to the human stuff.
Wider pupils, suggesting more, cognitive effort?
Exactly. Like their brains were working a bit harder to process the AI tunes. Also, the human music felt way more familiar, which makes sense.
Okay, but did the AI music feel different emotionally?
Here's the kicker. Consciously, no. The origin AI or human didn't really change the reported emotional valence, like positive or negative feelings, or even the specific main emotion they felt, like happiness or sadness.
Huh. So the feelings were kind of the same, even if the brain processed it differently.
Seems that way. And a big reason might be that in audiovisual stuff, what you see often has a stronger pull than what you hear. Vision kind of dominates.
Got it. That's the quick summary. But obviously there's a lot more depth here.
Oh yeah, lots to unpack.
So let's dig in. Why is this specific research so important right now, especially for people working in AI and machine learning?
Well, you see all the chatter online, right? The skepticism about AI art, AI music.
Yeah, this idea that real creativity, real value has to be human.
Exactly. But at the same time, generative AI is just becoming part of the toolkit in pretty much every creative field. Music production is no exception.
And the paper highlights something interesting. Even as the tech got better, emotion was often overlooked.
Right. They mention a 2022 review 118 AI music tools, and only 18 even considered emotion in their design. It's like we built the engine before figuring out the steering wheel for feelings.
Which might explain why the existing research on AI music's emotional impact is kind of all over the place.
Yeah, it really depends on the specific model, how it's used, the data it learned from. It's complex.
And these tools are evolving like crazy. We're talking Suno, Moobert, Beethoven, AIVA, and Stable Audio, which is the one they actually used in this study.
And many of these are accessible, right? You don't need to be a music theory genius to use them. Some have free versions.
Exactly. So this research is testing tools that are, actually out there and being used. It's not just theoretical.
Which brings us neatly to the study design. How did they actually set this up to test that emotional impact? This is where it gets really interesting for anyone who geeks out on experimental methods.
Okay, lay it on us.
Yeah.
What was the core setup?
Their main goal was clear. Can these current AI tools create music that hits the same emotional notes as human music when you pair it with video?
And the participants.
They get 88 people, average age around 30, a good mix, different genders, jobs, students, even some media pros, and importantly, a range of musical experience. About half had none, some basic, a few very competent.
Okay, diverse group. And they were split randomly.
Yeah, randomly assigned to one of the 3 music conditions. Human music, AI with keywords, or AI with simpler prompts. Made sure the groups were balanced.
Right. So let's break down those 3 music conditions. How was the music actually made or chosen? Start with the human one.
Okay, the human-created music, HCM. This wasn't new music composed for the study. They picked tracks from an existing database of movie soundtracks known to evoke emotion.
So actual film scores.
Exactly. But here's a cool detail. They used ChatGPT 4 to help select the best human tracks. based on pretest data about the videos, like what emotion they evoked, valence, arousal. ChatGPT helped find the closest matching human track using Euclidean distance.
Ah, so AI assisted in the curation, not the creation. Clever.
Right. Then the first AI group, AI Music Keyword Prompt, AIKP. This used stable audio.
The generator they focused on.
Yep. The prompts here were quite detailed. They took keywords from the pretest describing the video, the mood, style, genre, people associated with it. And then they also used ChatGPT-4 again, this time to flesh out those prompts with more musical details, suggesting specific instruments, tempos, that kind of thing.
So this was AI generation guided by quite specific human input filtered through another AI.
You got it. More human guidance involved. Now compare that to the third group, AI Music Dimensional Prompt, AIDP. Also stable audio.
But different prompts.
Much simpler prompts, less detail. These prompts only use the numerical ratings from the pretest. The average valence score, the average arousal score, and the percentage for the most common emotion reported for that video.
So no descriptions, no keywords, no musical suggestions, just numbers.
Pretty much. Just the core emotional dimensions. A much more direct, almost raw numerical input into the AI. Less human flavoring in the prompt itself.
That's a really smart comparison, testing different levels of human-AI collaboration in the prompting, basically.
Exactly. Alongside the purely human benchmark.
Okay, that covers the music. What about the videos they paired this music with? You mentioned pretests.
Right. They needed visuals. They picked 14 different short video clips from Vimeo. A real mix of animals, abstract stuff, a suspenseful scene, AI-generated surreal visuals, supercars, movie trailers, diverse content.
And they made sure the videos themselves didn't bias the results?
Yeah, they trimmed them all to 23 seconds max. Crucially, they stripped out all the original sound.
Silent films, essentially, waiting for a score.
Exactly. And they made sure the variety of videos was spread evenly across the 3 music conditions. So any differences they saw were more likely due to the music, not one group getting all the sad videos or something.
Makes sense. And they controlled for loudness too, right? That can definitely affect how you feel.
Oh, absolutely. Meticulous control there. All the soundtracks, human and AI, were edited to fit the video length perfectly, looped or faded out.
Yeah.
And the volume was standardized, balanced within plus or minus 1 decibel, no cheating with loudness.
Okay, that's a robust setup. So, videos ready, soundtracks ready, participants ready. How did they actually measure the emotional response? What data did they collect?
They went for a 2-pronged approach. Objective body signals and subjective reports.
Biometrics and asking people stuff.
Pretty much. For the biometric data, they had people hooked up to an eye tracker and a galvanic skin response sensor, or GSR.
Eye tracking for
Pupil dilation. Your pupil size changes with emotional state, arousal, and also cognitive effort, how much mental work you're doing. They also track blink rate, sometimes linked to workload, or even feeling averse to something.
And the GSR, that's like sweat response, right?
Essentially, yeah. Skin conductance. It's a classic measure of physiological arousal, how activated your body is unconsciously.
Okay, so that's the body side of the story. What about the conscious experience?
That's the self-report part. After each video music pairing, they ask participants questions. Rate your emotional valence positive to negative. Rate your arousal calm to excited.
Standard stuff.
Yep. Also identify the main discrete emotion you felt. Happiness, sadness, fear, anger, tenderness. And then 2 more things. Perceived congruence. How well did the music fit the video? And perceived familiarity. Have you heard music like this before? All on rating scales.
Wow, okay, so they gathered a lot of different data points for each person, each video.
Definitely a comprehensive approach, trying to capture emotion from multiple angles.
All right, the moment of truth, all that careful setup, all that data. What did they actually find? Let's start with the biometrics, the body signals. What did the pupils and skin tell them?
Okay, the biometric results were really telling. Let's talk pupil dilation first.
Right, the cognitive effort clue.
Exactly. Both AI conditions, the keyword one and the dimensional one, led to wider pupil dilation compared to the human-composed music.
Both AIs. Interesting.
Yeah, suggesting that listening to either type of AI soundtrack demanded more attentional resources, more cognitive load. And there wasn't a significant difference between the 2 AI types themselves on this measure.
So just the fact that it was AI seemed to make the brain work a bit harder to process it subconsciously.
That's what the dilation suggests. Now, blink rate was a bit different.
So sad.
The AIKP condition, the one with the detailed prompts, actually caused a higher blink rate than the simpler AIDP condition.
So the more complex AI prompt led to more blinking.
Seems like it. But here's the twist. Neither AI condition was significantly different from the human music condition in terms of blink rate.
Huh. So Blinkrate seemed more sensitive to the AI prompt type than to the basic AI versus human difference.
That's what the data points to. Maybe the complexity of the prompt influenced attention or workload in a way that Blinkrate picked up on, but the overall AI origin didn't register as strongly on that specific metric.
Okay, one more biometric. The GSR, the arousal measure.
Right, galvanic skin response. Here, the AI KP condition, again, the keyword prompted one, showed a significantly higher skin impedance level.
Higher impedance means less sweat, so less physiological arousal.
Exactly, lower activation. This was compared to both the simpler AIDP music and the human-composed music.
Oh, okay, so the AI music prompted with detailed keywords made pupils dilate more cognitive effort, but resulted in less bodily arousal according to GSR.
Precisely. That's a really fascinating disconnect, right?
Yeah.
Brain working harder, body less activated for that specific condition.
Definitely something to chew on. Okay, so that's the body's perhaps unconscious reaction. What about what people said they felt, the self-reports?
This is where it gets arguably even more interesting. Let's start with emotional valence, the positive versus negative feeling.
Did AI music feel worse or better?
Neither. There were no statistically significant differences across the three groups. Consciously, the positivity or negativity of the emotion felt pretty much the same, whether the music was human, AIKP, or AIDP.
Wow, okay. What about the specific emotion? Like, did AI make people feel more fear or less sadness or anything like that?
Nope. Same story for the most prevalent discrete emotion. No significant differences there either. People reported feeling happiness, sadness, tenderness, anger, or fear at similar rates across all three music conditions.
That's huge. So on a conscious level, in terms of the type of emotion and whether it's positive or negative, the source of the music didn't seem to matter.
That's what their self-report data strongly suggests. It didn't shift the core emotional experience they were aware of.
But wait, what about arousal? You said the biometrics were mixed, especially for AIKP. What did people report feeling in terms of excitement or calmness?
Good catch. Here's where that disconnect really shows up. For perceived arousal, participants rated both AI conditions, AIKP and AIDP, as significantly more arousing than the human-composed music.
So they felt more aroused by the AI music.
Yes, consciously they reported higher arousal.
Even though the GSR for AIKP showed less physiological arousal.
Exactly. A clear difference between subjective feeling and one objective measure for that specific condition. The simpler AIDP didn't have that same stark contrast, but both AIs were perceived as more arousing.
Okay, that's definitely complex. What about the other ratings? Congerence and familiarity.
Right. For perceived congruence, how well the music fit the visuals. The AIKP condition, the one with detailed prompts, actually scored highest, significantly higher than both the simpler AIDP and the human music.
So the AI, guided by more detailed human input, created a better perceived audiovisual match.
It seems so. That extra human guidance via keywords and musical specs might have helped stable audio tailor the output more effectively to the video context, at least in the participant's perception.
Interesting. And familiarity. I think I can guess this one.
Yeah, no big surprise here. Perceived familiarity. The human-composed music was rated as significantly more familiar than both AI music types.
People felt like they had heard that kind of film music before, but the AI stuff felt newer, less conventional.
Pretty much sums it up.
Okay, so let's try and weave all these threads together. We've got biometrics showing more cognitive load for AI, mixed signals on arousal, but self-reports showing similar core emotions, but higher perceived arousal and less familiarity for AI. What's the big picture interpretation here?
Well, connecting the dots, that wider pupil dilation and lower familiarity for the AI music really points towards something fundamental. It might just take more cognitive effort to process AI-generated music compared to human stuff, at least in these audiovisual settings.
Your brain's working harder because it's less expected, less conventional.
That seems like a very plausible explanation. The human music felt more familiar, likely because it draws on well-established patterns and conventions in, say, Western film scoring that we've all absorbed over years. It fits into existing mental schemas more easily.
Making it less demanding to process.
Right. And while they didn't ask, did you like it better? We know from other research that familiarity often correlates with preference. So you could infer that the human music might still be preferred, partly because it's just easier on the brain.
And maybe that slightly off or uncanny quality some AI music can have contributes to that cognitive load too.
Could definitely be part of it. That feeling of something being almost right, but not quite, can demand more processing.
But then there's that massive finding. The conscious emotional experience valence, discrete emotion, was basically the same.
Exactly, and that's crucial. It suggests that, at least in this context, the origin of the music, whether AI or human, didn't fundamentally alter the conscious feeling it evoked alongside the video.
Why would that be?
The researchers point to a well-known phenomenon in perception: visual dominance. Especially in audiovisual media, what we see often carries more weight in shaping our overall experience than what we hear.
So the power of the images might have smoothed over or even overridden subtle emotional differences potentially caused by the music's origin.
That's a strong possibility.
Yeah.
The visuals set the primary emotional tone, and the music, regardless of source, seemed to support that tone adequately enough that people reported similar feelings.
And what about those messy arousal results? Felt more aroused by AI, but less physiological arousal for AI-KP.
Yeah, that highlights the real complexity here. Interpreting physiological data isn't always straightforward. The mix of results for AI-KP, higher cognitive load, pupils, lower physiological arousal, GSR, higher perceived congruence, and higher perceived arousal. It shows there's a complex interplay between attention, cognitive workload, bodily response, and subjective feeling. It's not just one simple pathway.
So it's definitely not a simple AI is just like human music or AI is totally different answer. It's nuanced.
Extremely nuanced. Different layers of processing and response are involved.
Okay, understanding these layers is vital. But like any study, this one has limits. We need to be aware of those, right? And think about where research needs to go next.
Absolutely. Critical perspective is key. One limitation they acknowledge is the small pretest sample just 10 people used to initially gauge the video's emotional content. That's not a lot to base those crucial inputs on.
Yeah, that's pretty small.
And probably the biggest one for our audience. They only use one AI generator, stable audio. And as we know, this field moves incredibly fast.
Right. Stable audio from early 2024 is already different from stable audio now, let alone models like Suno, Udio, Beethoven.
Exactly. So how much these findings generalize to the current state-of-the-art AI music tools is a big question mark. The capabilities are a moving target.
What else? Methodological stuff?
Well, it was a between subjects design. Each person only got one type of music. That's good for avoiding certain biases, but it means you can't compare how the same person reacts to human versus AI music, or look closely at individual preferences across conditions.
You lose that direct within-person comparison.
Right. And just the general caveat that physiological data can be tricky. Pupil dilation can mean effort, but also interest or surprise. Blinkrate can mean workload, but maybe also boredom or eye strain. Context is everything, and interpretation requires care.
So given those limits and the speed of AI, where should researchers go from here? What are the next steps?
The paper suggests some good directions. Definitely use larger, more diverse pretest samples for stimuli selection. Crucially, they stress the need to test other AI models, get a broader sense of the landscape.
Compare stable audio to Suno, to AIVA, Udio, etc.
Yes. And they have a really interesting plan for future work, collaborating directly with professional human composers.
So instead of using existing film scores, have humans compose original music specifically designed to match the videos, and then compare that directly to AI trying to do the same task.
Exactly. A much more direct apples-to-apples comparison of bespoke human creativity versus bespoke AI generation for a specific emotional goal.
That sounds like a fantastic next step. Anything else?
They also suggest bringing in other methods, maybe EEG, to get a finer-grained look at cognitive processing, and qualitative methods like interviews to understand how things like cultural background or personal music taste might play a role.
Get the deeper why behind the numbers.
Right. More context.
Okay, this has been incredibly insightful. So, wrapping this up, what's the final thought for our listeners? For you, working in AI, using these tools, or just watching this space evolve?
I guess you have to consider this. These AI tools are getting better fast. The gap in conscious emotional impact, at least when paired with strong visuals, seems to be narrowing based on this study.
Right.
But does that underlying cognitive effort matter? Does that lack of familiarity, that potential uncanny quality, still make a difference, perhaps unconsciously? Will the story or the perceived humanness behind human composition always give it a unique appeal because it resonates with how our brains work and process patterns?
Or could AI get so good at hitting our emotional and cognitive buttons, maybe even exploiting those biases, that we stop noticing the difference? Or maybe even start to prefer its particular brand of engineered emotion?
It's a fascinating question, isn't it? Will AI music find its own aesthetic that we come to appreciate? Maybe even more than the familiar human patterns. The future of how we experience music, and maybe even how we define creativity itself, is definitely still being written.
A lot to think about. Thanks for breaking down this paper with us.
My pleasure. It's a great piece of research.
And thank you for tuning in to AI Paper Podcasts. We'll catch you on the next one.